The Celtics are back. Basketball is back in TD Garden, but a tricky opponent in the Sixers tonight. How will the Celtics attack them? How will they defend Joel Embiid? Plus, new jerseys, gambling odds, all of that next on First to the Floor.
Who is going to be first to the floor here? And it was Marcus Smart, as he usually is.
Brown drives, layup off the glass.
That's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice his body.
Going in, knocked away.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Ben Ballas here, and thank you for joining us on First to the Floor Live, our pre-game stream. Tip-off is in about 27 minutes, so thank you for joining us. In the meantime, let's welcome some of our fellow Celtics tragics, including, from up there in beautiful Newcastle, Australia, Jackson, a.k.a. Rickman Lives. Jackson with the day-off game day attire there in the jersey. How you doing, man?
Fantastic, man. I don't know Americans, Spoons, you can let me know this. Appreciate being able to watch, NBA, primetime NBA games at 10 in the morning on a weekday. It's different stuff, man. I'm just absolutely stoked.
Dude, it's awesome. When we have a 1 o'clock Saturday game, I just cherish it because I love it so much, even though we're dog shit in day games. But it's just the best. And I'm jealous that you guys get to work from home and just throw a Celtics game on while you're doing it. I would be very efficient if my boss is listening. If I ever did that.
Yeah, hopefully our bosses never tune into the show at any point in time.
They won't. I gave the link to my CEO, man. He'll be in the chat any second.
Wayne Spooney, of course, on the stream as well. Spoons, how you doing, man?
Doing great, man. Really pumped, excited, little scared, but let's do it.
Little scared.
Yeah, the season's kicking off, dude. It's back already. Shit.
A little scared. I was hoping you guys would talk me off the ledge today. We're going to have to do around the room here. And of course, Jake Eisenberg. Jake put out a great Backdoor Cards podcast just late last night. Now joining us on the First to the Floor stream. Jake, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Mate, ready to go. I'm a little, the butterflies are ready to roll. This morning it really hit me. I was thinking about actual X's and O's, how should we attack them, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, this is really happening. We're fucking back.
Opening night. And I don't usually get jitters before these streams, but I was feeling them as our little live countdown timer was happening there. I think it's because I'm genuinely nervous. It's a big game, and my passion for hating the Sixers is a defining component of my personality, for better or for worse, and it's going to go down tonight, and I'm either going to come away from it feeling amazing or feeling really shit. Let's get into it, shall we? There's a lot to get to.
Basically.
Yeah. Look, there's a lot to get into in what's now much less than half an hour. Let's just start very broadly here. A quick around the room. How are you feeling going into this matchup? We'll start with you, Jackson. Just generally, we kind of touched on it there already, but, anxious, excited, hopeful, pessimistic. How are you feeling?
I don't know. I am very hopeful. I've been on record saying I'm just not scared of the Sixers. I know Embiid's a beast. I know we can, it's a bad matchup sometimes, but I'm just never really that scared or intimidated when push comes to shove. Last 48 hours though, I don't know. I think a motivated Harden is something you should be worried about. I have a feeling Tyrese Maxey's just going to be huge this game. And if Embiid even has a slow day at the office, that can be, trouble for us. But I think we're at home. I think we basically have the better of this team. We always seem to beat them. So I think we will win. But yeah, I'm not as confident as I was a couple days ago.
Spoony, Jake, let's hear it.
Go ahead, Jake. Go.
Man, when it comes to the playoffs, couldn't be less scared of the Sixers. This is who I want every year because the hype gets so hard. The rest of the national media wants to pick the Sixers at any chance that they get. So we always kind of come into it feeling like we're the underdogs and then we want to prove everybody wrong, fuck the haters vibes. But regular season, I feel like it's been relatively even the last couple of years, especially in the years that we didn't have Horford. We didn't really have anyone to deal with Embiid. But having the Embiid stopper fresh off the offseason. I think it's going to be flashbacks for Embiid back to 2017-18 playoffs.
Do you remember game 1 of last year? The Knicks beat us. Kemba
Double
went
overtime.
crazy.
Oh,
Fournier
exactly.
went crazy.
Bing bong.
And now the overreactions after that game look fucking ridiculous now in hindsight. I have an inkling, a bad feeling that we're going to engage in the same type of thing tonight,
Absolutely.
after this game. We lose like by, 7 or 8 to the Sixers. Harden looks good. Oh, those Sixers are the best team in the East type of stuff. And then by the end of the season, we're gonna look back and kind of laugh at it. But I'm with you, Jake. Like, the Sixers have given us some trouble in the regular season. Not the last time we played, but I do feel like they play their kind of brand of Embiid flop ball in the regular season. It's very effective. I think this is going to be an annoying one. So I hate playing the Sixers for that reason, because Embiid and Harden are just flop factories. It's going to be terrible. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think
Ben?
I'm looking forward to it. I think I feel good. Like, Embiid, obviously an incredible player. Horford kind of knows the recipe. Like he's almost the defensive antithesis of Joel Embiid there. I think the Jays will be able to find some seams in the defense. Like, Harden and Maxey are not like terrible defensively. Harden, maybe you can make an argument for, but against, the driving force of the Jays, I think that they're going to be able, and like Tobias Harris isn't someone that really concerns me defensively either. I think they're going to be able to find seams in the defense, particularly if Embiid is playing drop against a pick and roll, which I think he will. I think if he doesn't, and if he tries to switch all those possessions, or all those coverages rather, then fatigue is going to be a factor for him. I'm excited for Brogdon as well, because something that would put fear in my soul, prior to other season openers would be, what if we just start to settle for the 3, we start to miss them all, and that's kind of our game. And then with Embiid on the floor, like, you can imagine the, I guess being turned away from driving into the paint, right? Because he's such a defensive force in there. So I think Brogdon's going to be able to get himself into the paint and open up shots for other players as well. Not a hot take. That's his game. But I am concerned about rebounding, which we'll get to, I think, in a second as we start 100%. To break down the offensive and defensive strategies for both teams. But before we dive into that, let's actually start that conversation with predictions for starting lineups. And I'm going to bring up my predictions on the screen here, if I can just bring up my little overlay. Hopefully Spoonie and Jackson down the bottom there, I don't cut you off too much. There we go.
You gave me the Sixers? Hey. Come on, man.
So I had to do
there
it.
We go.
So
I'm going to try and give them a hug like they're my kids.
My beauties. I love it. We should do this every game. So those are the
awesome,
predictions. Yeah. Those are the predictions. My predictions / just the starting lineup trends throughout the preseason. Spoonie, do you see any potential deviations from either of these starting lineups?
So here's the one thing, the Sixers are huge, right? Like, Tucker and Tobias Harris are both big boys. I'm not sure. Missoula wouldn't reveal his starting lineup, which is great, because I suggested this segment. So I really would have undercut it very quickly. I think we're definitely going to see that lineup for the Sixers. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Grant Williams instead of Derek White, just because to match up with PJ Tucker. And they're going to do everything they can to get Horford off Embiid. And we do not want Tatum on Embiid, just from a foul standpoint. So I think we might see Grant.
Yeah. Jake, any thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I wonder if the reason he's not giving away the starting lineup is because he's making a change to the starting lineup. Are the Sixers really going to start Tucker and Harris together, I wonder? That's a big lineup, but a slow perimeter defense lineup. Like, if we do end up going more like the Derek White lineup, none of the defenders can stay in front of any of our players. Not a single one. No. Maybe PJ Tucker, but he's more of a banger down low. I think it would be an interesting kind of back and forth. I won't spoil one of my favorite bets, but that does lead nicely into one of the kind of like
anticipation is building.
I think we're going to.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, just based on this, I think we're probably going to shoot like 100 threes in this game. Like, particularly, like, you're going to come out of the gate like hot. And if it's one of those things where like over 6 to start with, then that overreaction energy you were talking about, Spoons, is just going to start to bubble a little bit. So I think we can start. Neither, man. But I think if we can start hitting some shots, I think we're going to have the upper hand because, yeah, you're right. We potentially are looking at getting massacred on the boards. And don't forget, they got Montrezl Harrell off the bench too, who's always like getting about 10 per game. So, yeah, I think this is the lineup that they're going to run just based on the history of what we've seen in the preseason. But I think if we don't start hitting shots early, then they're going to look to change it up quickly, bring Grant off the bench.
Yeah, I think the Sixers going to value DeAnthony Melton's impact off the bench too much to try and match us in going small. I think that they'll probably recognize that our small ball lineup is better than theirs, and the best way to counter it is just to go fucking huge and just to deter us out of the paint and make us jack up those threes, which hopefully, we had a commenter earlier mentioning Sam Hauser. Hopefully we just hit all those threes, right? And the game's over after the second quarter, or the third quarter, as Joe would say. Games are won and lost in the third quarter. But yeah, I think these lineups, as they're set here on the screen, are probably how it's going to go down. Will that be the case halfway through the season for either team? Who's to say? But Spoonie, I think your point about bringing Grant Williams in to counter PJ Tucker and the size of the Sixers is definitely a good call out. Jake, you look like you're bursting at the seams to get something.
Because I googled it to see if the Sixers have announced their line, and Bonham's tweeted out that the Celtics announced it. It's Smart, White, Brown, Tatum, Horford. So no change to the preseason lineup. And then, so you nailed it,
Breaking
Ben.
news.
And the Sixers,
Oh, Ben.
yeah.
That's what we do here on First to the Floor.
That's right.
Break someone
And
else's news.
And then Harden, Maxey, Harris, Tucker, and Embiid. So exactly what you've got down there, which is interesting. Yeah, we're definitely undersized, but we have so much more speed than they do. So yeah, I just get up and down and run, which is what they've been doing in the preseason. And for a bunch of old slow guys, like, let's really test out Harden's hamstring. Let's see if that shit actually can go.
Yeah, let's test out PJ Tucker's just oldness, right? Let's go with the like, surely at some point, as I have felt in my own body over the last 6 months, you do fall off a cliff. And like, obviously, professional athlete, not comparing myself really too much to a professional athlete at all, but it does happen for everyone. Father Time is undefeated. Let's get into the offensive strategies to start with. Spoonie, how do you think the Celtics, we've sort of covered some of it already, how do you think the Celtics are going to attack the Sixers?
All right, yeah, I think Jake and Jackson, you guys are both right. We're going to shoot 1 billion threes. One thing I want to see is who Tyrese Maxey is going to guard and how we exploit that, because Maxey's a wonderful offensive player. He's a terrible defensive player. And if he's on Marcus Smart, and I think we can easily manipulate the defense to get that matchup, I want to get Smart in the post, posting up Tyrese Maxey and rack up some fouls on him, because he cannot handle Marcus Smart in the post. I actually think Derek White could probably post him up too. So,
no question.
The reason I'm laughing, Jared Goyette says, do you guys think Marcus Smart could defeat a wolf in one-on-one combat? I do, and I don't think it's close. And I would agree with that. I absolutely think Marcus Smart would destroy a wolf in one-on-one combat, which is why I want to see him posting up Tyrese Maxey, because if a wolf is no match for this man, certainly Tyrese Maxey is.
Several wolves. I'd still take Marcus Smart. A pack, if you will. Jackson, any additions there as far as how we'll attack the Sixers in this game?
Look, I got no real, offensive, tactical nous or anything like that, particularly of the caliber of you boys. But something I did notice in the preseason that was working a lot was once Brogdon comes off the bench, he loves to just push that ball up the court, and we get a lot of fast break points. Now, the size worries me. I think we're probably going to give up a few offensive rebounds. We may not be able to secure the ball. And if we can't do that, then I think we're going to see limited opportunities for that to happen. But if we can get the ball to Brogdon, we can push it up the court quick, I think there's going to be a fast break disparity, particularly given their size versus ours. And I think we could probably see the game really be won and lost with the bench guys. That's what I think may happen anyway.
Yeah, I'd like to see them ensure that they get Embiid on the move. And I think that's something the Celtics have struggled with in the past, is when there's a big shot blocker in the middle, they tend to avoid attacking them. So I want to get the ball moving like it has been basically since January of 2022. Get it on the move to open up easier looks at the rim. They should shoot a lot of threes. Their team is stocked full of great shooters, but don't want to just fall in love with that and not put pressure on the rim as well. But get Embiid out moving, make those looks a little cleaner.
Yeah, spread the floor and get Embiid out of the paint. Like we talked about him being a deterrent for anyone attacking the rim. Might be the one advantage maybe of not having Time Lord in this game is that between Horford and then theoretically Cornet, like theoretically can shoot threes, but between those two guys, as some of us cringe here on the show,
he shoots them.
Well, yeah, right. I won't say a decent clip. He does shoot threes. 3-point shot is a thing that does happen. We can pull Embiid out of the paint, at least with the threat of that, and particularly with Horford on the court. We can sort of look at a 5-out situation and then spread the floor, move the ball, and attack the paint accordingly. I mentioned Spoonie. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Embiid playing drop in the pick and roll coverage and then sort of a little gap opening up. And I imagine Jaylen Brown specifically like driving into that gap and pulling up for that midi. Do you think that's something that the Celtics will exploit?
Yo, hell yeah, man. I think so if the problem with Embiid is he's so friggin' massive that even if he's in drop, he can make you hesitate to pull up just enough that it allows that kind of trailing defender to get back and contest. That may not matter because Brown is so athletic and so good from the mid-range that he'll make it anyway. So I think that's kind of where the game is going to be won and lost, right? We're going to set a pick on whoever's guarding the ball handler and then figuring out what Embiid's doing and kind of luring him in either out towards the ball handler or making him sit back deeper so you can get up a jump shot before that trailer can get back to the ball handler is like, that is the game right there. Mm-hmm. Because if they have to send help, then we're looking at, okay, kick, pump, drive, or open threes all day long. So, yeah, I think one thing I wrote about during the playoffs is that I'd like to see Tatum be a little more aggressive, putting up mid-range jump shots. And he's a better passer than Brown, too. So if he's starting to work his way into that mid-range area and Embiid's not up high enough and he makes a couple mid-range jump shot and Embiid's got to take a step forward, that's really going to open everything up for the rest of the offense as well. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see how Embiid's defending, how deep he drops against the pick and roll, and then who is handling the ball for us. Because realistically, it could be any of those four guys other than Al Horford in the starting lineup. So it might, it's going to be a possession by possession. I'm really interested to see the defensive matchups that the Sixers go with, who they think can guard who, and who we kind of give the ball to start that primary action.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of defensive matchups, but on the Celtics side, we've got 11 minutes here. We'll probably go a little bit over because of all the pregame ceremonial stuff. Let's talk defensive strategy. Jake, how do you think the Celtics will look to defend the Sixers, particularly Joel Embiid? And if you can, if I'm asking you for a personal favor here, Jake, can you talk me off this Embiid-related ledge? Because I'm imagining foul trouble for Al Horford. I'm imagining Embiid just having his way in the paint. I'm imagining Luke Cornett on an unfortunate poster that might be hanging in the bedrooms of all the young Sixers fans around the world.
Bainesy survived many a poster from Embiid, and he came out on top.
And now he's in the NBL. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's what happens.
Bainesy's coming back, fellas. Don't you worry. Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's the issue with this matchup every time. I just hate watching the Embiid flop fest. But this is the quintessential guard your yard matchup. Like Tatum loves that saying, and this is true across the board. Horford, they're gonna get Embiid post ups, guard your yard, make him take those fallaways. Don't let him get to the line and get those easy jumpers. Spoonie, I'm interested to hear what you think about how they guard like the Harden Embiid pick and like short roll. That was like a pretty elite action for the Sixers towards the back end of last year. I think with Derek, he's like one of the best screen navigators. I'd like to probably put Derek and or Marcus on Harden. Marcus, infamously has the Harden highlights from the Rockets game years ago. So he's a great matchup for Harden. But that's going to be the key is how they navigate getting over that Embiid pick and blowing up that Embiid Harden pick and roll, because it was pretty unstoppable towards the back end of last year, and we didn't have to face them, I don't believe, with Harden. So we didn't actually get to see what it looked like. Mm-hmm. So that's something I don't really know how they're going to handle.
I think Jason Tatum will guard PJ Tucker, and I think he will basically not guard PJ Tucker. So I think we might even put 2 on the ball and have Tatum help hard onto Embiid when he rolls. So at least it's a difficult catch for him. And there's 2 on the ball with Harden, and his outlet pass is going to be to PJ Tucker. And then it's like, go nuts, PJ. Like, run the offense through PJ Tucker. Okay, Sixers. So that's how I think they'll handle that. But we'll see. Because, I also don't want, if he does get the pass off to Embiid and then it's Tatum on Embiid, that's kind of terrifying too. So there's no good answers. You're right. But that's how I think they'll do it. They'll just bring a third guy off Tucker.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see to what extent we switch as well. Like, I think switching through 1 through 4 is a given. I don't want to see Horford really switching off of Embiid at any point. I think Horford will probably play drop in that scenario as well. And the one thing that you give the Sixers is the opportunity for Embiid to start jacking threes. Obviously, if he starts nailing them, you've got to change that up a little bit. But I think that's how they'll start. I mentioned Horford foul trouble. The other thing, Embiid in the paint, I'd like to see the Celtics, I'm sure they'll do this, I think most teams do this, is double Embiid on the catch. We talked about being able to double or help off of PJ Tucker. You can do the same off of Matisse Thybulle as well, who hasn't proven himself to be a shooting threat. Jackson, any thoughts you want to pepper on that as far as defensively what this is going to look like for the Celtics?
No, not particularly, man. I think just keep him out of the paint best you can, try and limit the offensive rebounds. Hopefully just ball out on both ends. That's all I could say.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start zipping through the rest of these topics here. If I asked you guys to tell me what the Celtics opening night win-loss record for the past 6 years was, could any of you tell me off the top of your head?
3-3.
Yeah, you
4.
got it.
Oh, really?
Wow, okay.
You got it. So
I was trying to run it through. I was like,
It's every other year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so last year being a loss to the Knicks, this year we're due, right? Blowout win.
Yeah,
against
true.
The Sixers. It's just
I like that.
The flip side of that is we go to the Eastern Conference Finals every year we lose, and we have a flameout season every year we win. So do we want to win?
Okay. Yeah.
Sixers by 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Josh Richardson was butchering us with threes in, what was it, season opener 3 years ago? That was the COVID year. Yeah, and we lost that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, my God. That feels like a million years ago, dude.
I was honestly thinking the overtime game last year felt like ages ago, and it was only a year ago. But, right, you go back even further, like pre-COVID, and it's just like, different
Yeah,
times.
we had the Tatum bank shot to beat the Bucks. Was that opening night? Or was that the second?
That was opening night against the Bucks 2 years ago.
Yeah,
post-COVID.
2 years ago, the
empty
COVID
arena.
year. Yeah.
That's right, the empty stadium year. But I think I don't know if we can call it post-pandemic, but semi-post-pandemic, we're in this like interstellar style time dilation phase where time moves at a different pace than what we're used to.
That was
Jake,
the Tristan Thompson year, man.
Yes.
Everything was moving slower then.
Yeah. It feels like another reality. Like, did that happen?
I hate that, dude.
Yeah.
Jake, I believe you've got some spicy betting odds to take us through.
Yes. All right. So I do like to dabble in the gambling world.
Gamble responsibly. Caveat.
Of course. Yes. Figure out I have like a budget per week that if I lose it, that's it kind of thing, and I never exceed a certain amount like on a single bet. So that's kind of how I gamble responsibly. So I would encourage you to similar strategy. My favorite bet for today is Malcolm Brogdon over 4.5 assists plus 119. It's like the juice is on the under and he's been just absolutely racking up the assists. So I like that.
I gotta go, guys. I gotta get it right now. It seems like easy money. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So over 4.5 assists for Brogdon. Okay. Not that we're encouraging anyone to place any bets, but
Responsible.
I'm
take
doing.
and do with it what you will. What else you got for us, Jake?
Jalen over 23.5 points. And Tatum is also 23.5. I'm just kind of staying away from any Tatum point scoring stuff until we figure out if he can shoot or make layups at this point. So we don't know that yet. So I'm kind of holding judgment. But Jalen over 23.5, I feel like he's lock loaded, ready to go. That minus 125 there.
Interesting.
Nice.
So Yeah,
Guys, if you've got any thoughts on these bets, either Spoody and Jackson in the stream or anyone in the comments, feel free to chime in.
Not this set of bets. Sorry to deviate here, but last year I felt awful about this, but it was the year we played the Sixers and Horford was out, Time Lord was out, and Enos Freedom was out like so big. So I'm like, Embiid's easily going to get 40 points here. So I bet like $50 on that happening. And it was the game that we blew, like, right, we had like a 7-point lead with 3 minutes to go and lost it. And Embiid, if you remember, had 4 free throws right at the end. The second set came from like a long court pass. And on those 2 free throws, he made 40 points. And I won $800.
Wow.
So
I wouldn't feel bad
don't bet on
about
the
that.
Sixers unless we're missing all our bigs, which is not the case tonight.
Okay.
So it's a bad bet.
I like that.
I like
On
that.
on the Brogdon assists, I think Jackson was touching upon it earlier that we are playing so fast when Brogdon is out there that we're just going to have so many possessions that even though he's, maybe won't crack 30 minutes, but it's almost like he's playing 33 minutes worth of possessions because he's playing so fast. And he's going to be playing with Hauser. He's going to be playing with Grant. He's probably going to be playing with Horford. Some, he's going to be surrounded by 3-point shooters. And the Sixers will let you hoist up 3-point shots.
Mm-hmm.
So if Brogdon gets dribble penetration and we're hitting our threes, like he's gonna rack up assists. So I love that. Plus, it's plus money too. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Give me over 5.5 on an alternate.
I know.
line.
Yeah. So there's some nice ones.
Money.
Like if you want to go like over 8, you can get like plus 400 kind of stuff as well. So the rebounding thing, this is what I'm thinking for this next one. Tatum's playing the 4 essentially. I think that part of his job is going to be, because he's an incredibly good rebounder. I think that's going to be part of the focus for him, especially while we figure out the front court stuff. So get him over 7.5 rebounds. I can kind of see Anas just, he commented 7 for 21. I think that's very likely, but he'll have 12 rebounds as well. Because he tries to find other ways to be impactful, and that's minus 115.
Okay. Any other bets? I'm anxious about moving on and wrapping up before tip off here. Anything else?
I'll fire through the last 2. Yeah, so Harden under 19.5. I just think that we kind of always play him well, and I'm just not buying the resurgence. And I think that he's going to be looking to be a passer this year. So under 19.5 and minus 115. And the last one, which I teased earlier, is just the Celtics over 109.5. I think that I'm not buying the Sixers defense, and I think we're going to get heaps of open threes, and we've been shooting the lights out so far in the preseason. So this is just kind of a bet on the Celtics knocking down threes at home, carrying over the vibes from. I'm kind of feeling like Game 7 against the Bucks. Grant Williams has 7 threes. Howard has a couple. So Celtics over 109.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one because it's like if the Celtics execute successfully on their game plan, then they probably will hit that over. But if you approach your fandom like me and feel like things always go wrong when you most need them to go right, then they're going to start missing all their threes, and it's not going to go down as hoped. Guys, one last thing to get to before we wrap up the stream, get to our playback stream live during the game, is these jerseys, which is a tip of the cap, an homage to Bill Russell. Quick around the room. I'll just quickly start by saying I don't like them. As much as I love Bill Russell and I love what these jerseys stand for. Spoony, Jackson, Jake, we'll start with you, Spoony. What are your thoughts on these jerseys overall?
I am extremely uncool. I have the opposite of an artist's eye for anything. But my one comment is, why is the green so dark? That just makes no sense to me. So, I don't have a strong opinion one way or another, other than we look like the Bucks, and that is just really weird.
Yeah, Jackson?
They're fine, honestly. I do think that the third and city jerseys have always been just mega divisive. But it's just always green, white, and a little bit of yellow, and it's just they play with the saturation and the levels a little bit. Like I would rather than be like some absolute like Jackson Pollock, just like acid nightmare like splash of color for as an alternative or a city jersey. Would that be so much to ask? It's just the same color palette over and over again. So while I think it's fine, I'm just bored by it more than anything.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so much closer to Spoony when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, I don't really know what I'm looking at. I'm like, ooh, it says Celtics. I'm also a kind of colorblind as well. So, like, in dark greens and purples and blues is where it starts tricky. Yeah. So, I usually just wait till I see them See this? No, it's hilarious. It always gets me when I'm playing poker and I get a few beers and like the black, purple, blue chips and green chips all start to get.
No, that
more
could
and
be a
more
disaster.
Start
Yeah,
throwing out
it's-
blacks.
It's caused me a few issues in the past, but I tend to just wait to see how it's on the court. But yeah, out of all the jerseys that they've kind of created, the black ones are by far my favorite that they've kind of created. But I'm willing to give these, like, if they go out and dominate today, they're gonna be my favorite jersey probably. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how we feel.
Do you guys remember, like, sorry, do you remember the
ahead.
Lord of the Rings looking ones from like 3 seasons ago that Joe
Yeah.
absolutely hated? I thought they were average at the time. I look back at them now and I'm like, they're nice. So I think that's just having a good team playing attractive basketball.
Yeah.
You're right, Jack. It just comes a lot with how well you perform.
Do you guys remember back in like the Pierce, like maybe it might have been the first season we had KG and Ray Allen. We had like these St. Patty's Day alternates that were gold and green. Those were awesome. Like what happened to like the gold and the green kind of color combo? Like there's a little bit of it here, but those looked so good. I thought I wish they'd kind of bring that scheme back. But again, I am like useless when it comes to design. Ben has seen my like video edits before he gets a hold of them, so I'm sure he shared himself a laugh of like, Spoonie thought that looked good. Oh no.
Well, just to wrap here on the jerseys, a tweet from Taylor Snow, who's a reporter. Spoonie, you're just going to have to lean to your right there to get in frame. The script is inspired by Boston's Slade's Bar and Grill, which was owned by, there you go, guys, thank you, by Bill Russell. 11 gold diamonds on the sides of the uniform, signifying the number of championships Russell won, and Russell's retired number 6 on the belt buckle of the shorts, surrounded by 11 gold diamonds. So I think you got to kind of tip your cap to it. I acknowledge that's the second time I've used this phrase in this segment, because of how much of an homage it is to Bill Russell and obviously his importance in society in general, not just within the NBA and the Celtics. It is very important. So willing to give them a go in that sense. Look, that is going to do it for this one. We're already over time. We're going to hop over to our live playback stream now. So hop in there. The link is in the description. You can watch the game with us. If you haven't signed up to playback before, it's free. And if you've got League Pass or a cable subscription, just quickly link that to playback. You're in the room with us. You can see our little faces in the corner. We're watching the game together. We can bring you up on stage. You can chat to us in the chat. It's a lot of fun. So we're going to be hopping over to that now. In the meantime, go Celtics. Peace.